Welcome to our video tutorial series produced by Macedonian partner Ortet for Erasmus Plus project Train to Act, improving the power of volunteerism. This guide will answer numerous questions and resolve your dilemmas as, for example, why should I become a volunteer? Where can I volunteer? Where can I find information about volunteering? How can a foreigner volunteer in Macedonia? Can I volunteer in a foreign country? Why should I become a volunteer? Volunteering is based on voluntariness, help and community support without financial compensation. A related term to volunteering is solidarity. It represents helping others, recognizing the needs of others and associating with them self-awareness for inclusion in social processes with other members of the community. In the context of civic engagement, it's very important to mention youth activism as one of its forms. Youth activism represents the voice of young people who are gathered around the common idea for some social change. Youth activism means social engagement and political activism of young people, active participation of young people in solving relative issues for them and making decisions in local communities as well as at the state level. Volunteering is generally defined as a non-profit and unpaid activity by which individuals and groups contribute to their well-being. By volunteerism, we mean the voluntary provision of services to another person for the benefit of another person or for the general good without compensation. Volunteering is only one form of civic engagement included in the construct of civic action and civic commitment or duty, connection between people who volunteer and other forms of civic engagement. Volunteering plays a valuable role in shaping how to learn to interact with their community and develop the skills, values, and sense of empowerment necessary to become active citizens. Being active means being attractive to employers, to those who give scholarships, to universities, to organizers of special events and projects, and to other people in general. It is certainly very important in life. Being active means knowing what you want and wanting and doing it. This means influencing decisions about personal development, the development of your city and your community, apart from schools and cafes. Have other activities that will enable you to travel and meet new people, gain new knowledge about maintaining peace, human rights, gender equality, European integration, etc., and skills as project management, communication, lobbying, debating. The term volunteer comes from the Hebrew language and literally means one who wants to give. According to some Egyptian records, these forms of philanthropy existed as early as 4,000 years BC. Volunteers are generally defined as people who contribute their time, skills, or services to an agency or organization without receiving direct financial compensation for their work. Volunteerism appears in various forms, traditional customs of mutual aid to organized community action in times of crisis, as youth work actions, floods, earthquakes, etc. It can be said that we have all been volunteers at some point, whether it's helping paint a friend's apartment or helping an elderly person cross the street, as well as participating in some activity of a local non-governmental organization or school parliament. It is estimated that around 420 million people volunteer in the world. Which are the values of volunteerism? Solidarity, as an awareness of the need for mutual accountability in order to achieve fairer relations between people. Tolerance, as accepting other people's understandings and attitudes without necessarily agreeing with them. Equality, as equal rights and opportunities for everyone, regardless of gender, age, education, race, nationality, social status, political and religious views, and all other forms of diversity. Peace and non-violence, as basic principles of thinking and finding. Life in harmony with nature, aspiration to change lifestyle patterns and align them with the basic principles of sustainable development. And what about motivation and motivational factors? Those are personal values, acting in accordance with certain beliefs, civic consciousness, human character, value system, etc. Understanding, a circle of people with similar interests. Career, the desire to advance in the career, because through volunteer work you can acquire skills and knowledge that can be used professionally and personally. Acquaintance and society. Volunteering brings contacts and acquaintances with new and interesting people. Respect in the community. Plenty of free time. Pleasant spending free time. When talking about organizing volunteer activities, we'll follow several steps as introduction to volunteer management, preparing for volunteers, volunteer policies and procedure, attracting and recruiting volunteers, day-to-day volunteer management, introduction and training, dealing with problems. You may not have a formal title or job description which says you manage volunteers, but if you are involved in recruiting, training, or rostering volunteers, that means that you have a management role. What is volunteer management? Management in general can be described as making the most effective and efficient use of resources in order to achieve your goals. Good people management ensures that everyone involved helps the organization to achieve its goals in the most effective way possible. So how does this apply to volunteer management? Once an organization has a clear mission and goals, it has to decide what resources it needs to succeed. Whatever the initial reason for choosing to involve volunteers, organizations which address the following are far more likely to have volunteers who give their best to the organization and in return receive satisfaction and a sense of well-being from their volunteering. While managing volunteers, you need to develop a mission statement which says why volunteers are involved. Vision, a shared vision of why the organization exists and what volunteer involvement brings to it. Short and long-term goals and objectives which everyone understands. A statement outlining the scope for volunteer involvement. Ring-fence financial and human resources to support volunteering. Effective monitoring and evaluation of volunteer involvement. There are a number of benefits to managing volunteers, including clarity for the organization and volunteer, more likely to attract the right volunteers, hold on to volunteers, and benefit from their involvement. A standardized approach to dealing with volunteers, which provides organizations with direction and ensures that volunteers get treated fairly and equally. Volunteer management practices continue even when people leave. The message for organizations involving volunteers is clear. If you want to attract, keep, and benefit from volunteer involvement, then you have to look after your volunteers and manage them properly and professionally.